Good evening, members. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. I'm FA Diana Muriuki Maina, the CEO of the Institute of Certified Investment and Financial Analysts. I believe you have all seen the intro. You have seen today's topic. We will be discussing what are some of the investment options in Kenya, what are the current trends and the future outlook of some of these investment options. We hope to cover all the options because as investment analysts, of course, the investment options should be on our fingertips, and I hope that we'll be able to learn a thing or two.
Available investment universe for investors. And I feel that as ICIFA, I like the job that you're doing in terms of investor education. I like the job that you're doing in terms of educating your members more. And this, I feel, is a step in the right direction to now embrace what we already have and make it bigger. I believe that Nairobi has everything it takes to be a financial services hub in Africa. We have the right skill set, we have the right investable instruments, and I feel it's time that we go for it and also reduce the amount of fear that we have around investing in new asset classes, because I think in itself that is already creating a risk. When you have almost all the financial participants, all the financial intermediaries in Kenya investing in government bonds, for example, it also creates a risk in terms of creating too much capital flowing into the government as opposed to real underlying businesses, right? Anthony just mentioned how startups are starved for capital, and right now you have a lot of capital going into the government as opposed to startups. So let's embrace a little bit more of alternative assets, and I feel this will be a step in the right direction.
Okay, Efe Hilda, what are your final remarks, especially about the future outlook of real estate and even other investment options?
Thank you, Efe Diana. Specifically to real estate, ideally, the future is still very bright. We are very underinvested, especially in terms of real estate. What tends to happen in Kenya is that, for example, you'll notice that from around 2012, all of a sudden, there were several office buildings and towers that came up into the market. This is because it was implied that there is obviously a supply gap in that area. So instead, what the market did is that everybody went into that area without some level of any thought process in terms of sustainability and viability in the long run. So right now, you'll find that because of that, there's been a lot of there's been a supply glut for the last couple of years, especially in the office market. And you'll find that there are also and that means that other sectors within the real estate sector tend to now become underserved, seeing that a lot of capital was deployed into one area. And then when people realized, okay, office is now sort of, slowing down, then let's all go to retail. So every corner of Nairobi, there was a retail mall coming up without any, level of, feasibility in terms of viability going forward, and sustainability, and even in terms of taking into account our market dynamics. So what that tells us is that real estate development projects are not necessarily being done in a professional manner or even in a credible manner. So that has led to a lack of credibility in the market. And lack of credibility lowers investor confidence.
Actually, what has happened, traditional assets, for example, like the equities, have dipped. But now as investors, as we are looking into the future, we need to look at where will the next bounce be. May we now start investing currently during these dips, as in take advantage of this opportunity now to grow the assets, to buy into valuable assets that will give us returns in the future. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Efe Jacqueline. Efe Anthony, finally, final remarks on the future outlook of the investment options.
Thanks, Efe Diana.
1.5 minutes, please.
Sure. I think from an outlook perspective, I think the COVID environment has provided a chance for a new re-entry for investors in assets which they thought previously were either overpriced or overvalued. So we need to take advantage of the discounted valuation to re-enter certain asset classes afresh, or build new portfolios of funds, or rebalance existing portfolios, because we now know COVID in more detail on its impact to businesses and economies. Then secondly, from an outlook perspective, we need to now accept that we can access traditional asset classes like bonds, equities, real estate via other structures. We should embrace the collective investment schemes or unit trust to access traditional asset classes. We should embrace ETFs to access traditional asset classes. We should embrace REITs to access a traditional asset class like property or real estate. And then lastly, and importantly, we need to embrace alternative investments and to try to stop calling alternative investments new. They've been there for generations and they are available locally, and start increasing awareness and knowledge about derivatives, private equity, venture capital, commodities, and the rest. And in conclusion, we should not give up on the war or the effort towards investor education, both for retail investors and institutional investors. And for us to achieve that, both academic institutions, market players, and regulators need to pursue a concerted effort in making investor education real in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Efe Anthony, Efe Jacqueline, Efe Hilda, Efe Nahashon. We really appreciate your inputs. I can see even some attendees acknowledging very high quality presentations and discussions by all the panelists. So I'll request attendees, as usual, kindly just raise your hand as a show of clapping and appreciating our panelists. They did a job well done. We've learned a lot. And my concluding remarks will be, based on portfolio management classes, it said that the next thing to free lunch is diversification, especially when it comes to our portfolio. And that's why we had all our experts. We had alternative investments, which also includes real estate and traditional investments, who have all delved into the matter. But the important thing is diversification. So thank you all so much for being present throughout the whole of this session. We appreciate your time, your company. I believe the next webinar will be on alternative investments. I think it requires a broader discussion. Are they the better options? So look out for that. I believe we sent out the webinar calendar to all our members, and I'll keep on encouraging our members to go to training.ecfa.co.ke and explore the modules that are available to continue earning your CPD credits. So thank you all once again. We appreciate your time. And let's all be part of the investor education and improving the vibrancy in investment options in Kenya. So thank you all. Have a good night, and I will see you next time. Thank you all panelists once again. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.